Hello everyone, and welcome to our Mortal Line 2 stream. Can you hear me? How's the sound check? Long time no see, indeed. Welcome back, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here again. It was quite a while ago since last stream, for sure. Is the sound good, or how is it? I think I have it cranked max. I will speak up. Let me know if it's unclear. All right. So it was quite a few months ago since we did last stream. We've been busy little bees, working a lot, quite in the shadows. Thank you for subscriptions, by the way. Appreciate it. Goes straight to the development as usual. So it's cool to see you guys show up to the stream today. We have a few things we're gonna cover. As you know, we have a little announcement to make today as well that I think we should start off with, so we have that out of the way before we proceed. And I also want to see if we can have these streams you know, following a structure. You know, we will go through the announcement, we will talk a little bit about the upcoming patch we're working on as well, and then we have whoa, thank you for the gifts. We have the usual giveaway, Mortal Online 2 key on Steam, and then we will end with the Q&A. So that's where I want to try to focus on the questions. Is the volume too low? Everything is maxed. Let's see if I can boost it further. I'm boosting it. Is it better? I think it's boost. So yeah, I will not get too stuck on the questions. You know, I don't want to drag along too much when we have a few things to cover first. But in the end, we will do the Q&As as usual, so I don't get stuck. So you know the order of the topics to the left or above my head here. All right. Again, thank you very much for the subscription and all the support as usual. So we put a little thing together to show you guys what we want to announce. So let's show you that, shall we? So let's move on the announcement, and then we can discuss some things. Another one. Thank you very much. All right, we're gonna show you a little thing. So take a look on this, and then we will talk some more.
Listen well, traveler, and it might just save your life. Across the inner sea, over Tecton's fault, far from your paradise of Merland, waits a vast dry ocean of breathing dunes and hidden wealth. It is no wonder the great Suna rises from the west, as Kefir hauls her over the burning sands of Sarduka. Learning to survive here will require all your wit, skill, and courage. The deserts may appear empty, but life here always finds a way. Beth Jeddah, the heart and jewel of the Sardukan Empire and the seat of Laba Madar, who has ruled her people for hundreds of years, if you believe the tales. Sarduka holds many secrets, traveler, some of which were not meant to be uncovered. The Am-Yarasi, Wardaki dancers, great worms, the blinding light of Kamin Mara. Seek, and you will find, even if it means your life. Now, get off my ship.
Alright guys, so as you have guessed, we got Sardica as the next continent. You know, we have never really confirmed the details surrounding this, but this is obviously what we're gonna do, right? So Sardica is coming on North American server. Obviously this was from in-game, nothing pre-rendered trailer stuff. This is from in-game, obviously in Unreal Engine 5 as usual. So we showed some of the areas of Sardica. Obviously quite exciting when it comes to the comparison from Mortal 1 Sardica and Mortal 2 Sardica. We were quite limited on specific materials and biomes that we could do this time. That boundaries are quite further, so we can finally make those quite interesting looking biomes that makes it more different than just plain desert areas, and we showed a little bit of that in this little teaser as well. And obviously there's probably a few questions in regards of Sardica, but obviously that is the big next thing coming in Mortal 2. We are also simultaneously working on a few patches that will be delivered over the upcoming period. And then of course we will have the countdown when we're getting ready to do some testing, and then obviously we're gonna release Sardica. So it will be located in North America. We're doing some tests there right now, specifically in West region. So that means we know there's a few of you out there that have been talking of the never-ending wipe. You know, we're not going to go deep into that one, but obviously that's something we discussed over the years, or we got questions from. I will say that Sardica is kind of like a soft wipe, because you will not be able to travel from Mirland to Sardica initially. So that means you have to start fresh, you know, all starting fresh that want to experience Sardica on release days. So obviously a little bit exciting to see how that will shape the new world when, you know, we're getting into the steel age or whatever the players decides to do and what pace. A little bit interesting, of course. And then a month later, we don't have the exact date yet, that would be more iron out as we go, but obviously then we will have the options to travel through the bridge from Mirland, so you can finally you know, join in with Mirland or vice versa. But that will be a few months. We don't know the exact date yet. Obviously we are happy again to hear input from the player base, and then we will see what that date will be. What is this, a little thingy? I don't know what that was in Twitch, but anyway. So yeah, the bridge will not be possible to, you know, build up or access initially. That is to secure the period on Sardica. You know, we expect the bridge to be built over a long period of time in the first game, but that happened in a few nights. Quite an effort by the community, so we're gonna secure that so it can't happen initially. So yeah, it's also gonna be interesting to see the comparison. You know, we have players playing in West Coast obviously have the worst scenario. We have Australian players and Asian players that have obviously worst ping on Mirland. Obviously there will be improved ping in West Coast area. Entire North America will have optimal latency, while obviously further away there will be less optimal latency. So it's going to be interesting to compare that. We have also identified a few things in our ping normalization movement system that can tighten that up a little bit. We will see when that enters, if it's along with Sardica or not, but that could actually make an impact across both continents where movement is more accurate and have a better refresh rate. So actually both continents will benefit from that. I would like to have them separate so you don't feel all that in one go, you know, in Sarka. So that's going to be interesting, but we can talk more about that when we get closer to that. West Coast getting under 40 to the server now. Yeah, so obviously you will be under 100 when you are North America when playing on Sarka. But 140 latency is not too bad actually within our ping normalization. So yeah, that was a little bit about the announcement, obviously Sarka. And also we are making sure that it is obviously playable in Europe as well, but obviously again, as further you go, latency will be an impact. All right, let's see. So one of the question here is also obviously character slots, right? We got a few questions when it comes to, are we forced to delete a character slot to be able to play on Sarka? Obviously we don't want to force that on the players, so we're looking at you know, the options to allow for our character slot to instantly jump on Sarka. So that is something we are ironing out as well, that we're gonna give an update on as we go. I assume there will be more questions, but let's move on for now. As I mentioned, we're also working parallel on patches, so not, you know, everything is not standing still while we work on the bigger things in the background. We've been working on the next patch that we're getting close to release on live. That has some important updates. Obviously, the common improvement, bug fixing, polishing. We have the keep tower issue, not saving correctly on reboots. You know, the GMs have to fiddle around with that. Seems to be finally fixed, so we can have more, you know, calm reboots, especially for the GMs and obviously the players that, you know, need to make sure that the walls are and keeps are intact in a proper location. We also have looked at the trinket rebalance that have been also a hot debate over the months. You know, some people pointing out the gap is quite large for the low tier new players to the high tier veterans. So that means that tier 1, tier 2 trinkets gems can now roll higher. So the gap is very close to the higher tier. So that gap is, you know, significant changed. We also took the opportunity to disable some of those non-used skills yet, so they can't be rolled. And we added some that weren't there on amulets like Elementalism, Pole Sword, Pole Axis, Anatomy, Mountain Magery, and Scribing that also can roll on the amulets. Stamina, also a little balance thing, you know, they didn't scale well, so they were pretty much useless, but they now scale better, so you can hit a nice stamina boost on them as well. Just making sure the trinkets are a little bit more aligned and there's content usage from low end to high end and the gap is minimal. Another feature we're also adding in this next sprint or patch, I would say, is new event systems. So there will be dynamically spawn groups of various types, and they can spawn almost at any point of interest, and they will drop appealing loot. You know, one of them is the greedy Stein Troll, who carries around a chest in his back full of treasure. So he can spawn pretty much almost anywhere, including in dungeons. And he carries a lot of valuables if you find him and manage to get him. Similar things like that would be spread out through the world and points of interest and dungeons. So it's not just, you know, specific content only locked to one area. So you can actually explore and wandering around and run into one of these specific, unique, or more rare different types of mobs that have good loot, interesting loot. Obviously, they can also spawn in dungeons. So when you're doing your usual dungeon runs with a group or friends, then obviously these ones can also appear down there. And this is a system that we're expanding on because we believe there's great value and content to be had in this. And obviously we also got a lot of feedback from you guys when it comes to how can we populate the world with interesting and exciting things to move around. Yeah, you know, so we don't get tired of exploring the world or it becoming too repetitive. So that's one feature that also is planned for starting with the next patch. We're also looking at, you know, griefing tactics, feedback when it comes to both old and new players. You know, there's a few things that have been quite nasty for players. And, you know, we got a lot of complaints on that. So we're looking at a few things that we are testing right now. Obviously, again, we are happy to hear feedback and balance around these things. But what we're looking at is a new loot bag priority for killing AI. So it's not as easy to snipe someone, you know, there's a lot of that going on. They're stepping up and taking loot and move away. That will be prioritized to the ones that have killed it and have kind of rights over the loot for the first seconds. And there will be a color indication that shows, you know, in what status it is. And then instantly after that, it will be free for all pretty much. So that's something we're looking at to get that a little bit more under control. And then we have a few other things there worth mentioning. We are looking at the murder counts adjustment on that. You know, you must have been hit by another player within a few minutes. We're looking at 2 minutes right now of your death to be able to murder count them. That timer was extremely long, so all of a sudden you could get a murder count and don't even remember why and where because it was quite far off. Didn't make sense. Because you were still in his list of, you know, damaging. So we're trying to fine-tune those numbers to make more sense and have it more controlled. And you can't murder count someone if you die to fall damage, you know, the classic jump in, take a little hit, and then jump off a cliff just to give out murder counts, you know, silly things like that. Same thing if you die to non-controlled AI mobs. Similar thing there. And we also added a little important thing. You can push AI out of the way. You know, we got a lot of petitions from players saying now someone have planted these horse or pets in an entrance or a bank entrance or whatever just to troll people. And now you can actually push that creature and it will move away, so you can actually move around. So that should hopefully also get away of a lot of those annoying troll situations. We're also doing some really cool updates to our voice system. You know, a lot of you guys have always said that we have a really nice voice system, the VoIP, I mean, where you can, you know, simply talk and communicate in the world. We are refining that because we think there can be even more getting out of that system. So obviously fine-tuning the length so it feels more realistic. You can shout on a hill and you see him over there and you can hear him on distance. We're also putting support to add sound system from Unreal Engine 5 in these voice systems, which means if you're in a cave, you'll hear the echo, you know, so it resembles where you are in the world as well. If you're behind a wall, it will sound muffled, you know, reverbs. So 3D space elements support in the VoIP system. So it helps us identifying where you are, where it's coming from, and just makes more sense. So that's a cool update to that system as well. And more useful when it comes to, you know, yelling at each other from distance to identify people. The fall off range is a little bit harsh right now, so that's gonna change. So that's a cool little thing. We're also looking at the counter armor increase, fighting outnumbered buffs. There's been a lot of debates surrounding that as well. So when you attack after parrying someone, you take reduced damage, and this has been increased to 80% reduction. So that's something we're gonna put on test as well and play around with when it comes to balancing, you know, promote skills and X versus many, you know, all that. So we're gonna test that as well. Some fine tunings there. Then, of course, there's a long list that you will be able to see, obviously, when we announce the PTR testing notes, the full patch notes. There will be a lot of small things and improvements. We're also moving over to our new Unreal Engine 5 that is improving overall performance, FPS, which obviously is very beneficial for our type of games. We can get a little bit more juice out of your graphic cards. So there should be a noticeable step up in performance as well in FPS. I actually played around with DLSS 4.5 as well, gained some quality and FPS there as well. So things are improving in that apartment as well. That is worth testing at the moment. A little bit tricky to get started, but maybe we can do a little guide or implement it in the next build. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, 5.7, that is correct. So that is, in short, in general, I would say that the next patch will be included. And like I said, all the details will be announced as usual. We are planning to do a PTR, and as usual, we will also put that announcement in our community to, yeah, you know, anyone that are interested in participating in PTR testing and helping with that, there will be an opportunity for that. All right. Shall we proceed to the giveaway before we step into Q&A? Quite a while ago I ran this one, so let's do the giveaway. Explanation mark MO2 as usual. So if you wanna sign up for the role, we can run it now, and then we'll have that finished as well. And then we can go into the questions. I see you guys have obviously various questions, and we'll see how many we can cover in the next round. I'll give it a few minutes so everyone here have a little chance to enter the pot of the giveaway. So yeah, how's everything going in the world? We all of a sudden got a snowstorm in my city out of nowhere. You know, during Christmas we had pretty much no snow at all, around 5 Celsius, and then bam, snowstorm hit us this week. Quite a lot of snow and minus 5, 6 Celsius. So my room is freezing. So if I'm shaking, you know why. My heater is not used to counter that cold environments in here. What about boat noses in the trailer? Are boats coming? No details on that one at this point, I would say. But yeah. Any new updates on the AI announcement? Can you give us an example of how this works in the game? So obviously, you know, the world is going crazy with AI currently, right? There's a lot of going on in all different areas. Obviously, we try to always investigate where it makes sense for us to utilize the different types of AI. We're making one of the world's most complex developments. We have a code base that are over 20 years. So it's not that you can just plug in a AI and think that it's going to understand that code base and start working for you. So obviously there are very specific routes we need to take and evaluate and iterate on to, you know, see how we can benefit from the latest technology today. We have actually well, trust me, we have done this since GPT-3, GPT-2. We know very well what works and what doesn't work. Very small project, you know, today, or small apps or small games, especially single player games, very isolated code base. Obviously you can start doing some interesting things, but we're talking about the 20 years code base. We tried everything for the fun of it, right? We partnered up with NVIDIA and AMD, which is interesting. Obviously they're a little bit competitive to each other's, but we were lucky to get some hell of a hardware from them. So we have some really powerful servers that cost a lot of money, and just to run the AI, you know, consumes a lot of power. And we have connected the most powerful things that is possible and let it, take a deep dive into our code base. And oh boy, it struggles a lot. But understandably, we understand why that is not just magic that will work on its own. There are specific setup that needs to happen for that to be, improved and start working and helping us with different things. There's a lot of code repetitive stuff to create different things in code where, some brain dead part of creating things where AI could benefit and help us in that way, just to save our coders some time in that area. We're always also looking into, it's not about spaghetti. It's, there's a context limit as well. There's no LLM today that can handle, code bases that are 20 years old with thousands of lines of code. It just simply doesn't work. And they're not trained to that because there's nothing like that on the web that can be trained on. And it's not like, World of Warcraft or those giants are giving their entire code base to let LLMs learn from that. So, But like I said, we are always on the frontier here and have been testing all the latest LLMs and see where it makes sense to make use of it and not use of it. But I just want to point out that, some people may think it's magic that you just let the AI read 20 years of code base and bam, it makes the game for you. We're not there, we need super AI for that to even be a thing. It's more working for more isolated, way smaller, complex or less complex project. All right, shall we do the roll? I think most people have signed up, so we can get that key out of the way. If you just tune in, last seconds, exclamation mark MO2, and I will roll the dice. And then we'll get back to those questions you guys are wondering about, so just give us a moment here. I'll just let it slow down before I do the roll. And I will find my key. Where the hell do I have that? Key was quite a while ago. Let's see. I think this is it. Yeah. Got a lot of NVIDIA and AMD testing our game as well. Obviously, they want to promote their AI software for gaming. There's some good stuff, some not as impressive, but some stuff is cool. All right, shall we roll it? I think it's time. Let's roll the dice, shall we? All right. All right, let's go. Good luck, everyone. And here goes the giveaway. Let me start that one. There we go. Let's go. We can play this again shortly. I'm just gonna see who the winner is. Rig day. Congratulations, Biscuitina Hoven. I butchered that one, but all right. Let's go. You see in here, biscuits. Let's see. I think I won 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Are you there, Biscuitenhoven? Send me a DM and I will send over your key. What is this? Toot toot. Is he in his chat, guys? Is he active? We'll give him a minute before we move on. Any mention of population? I'm not ignoring anything. I'm not at the QA yet, guys. We are on the topics. We try to follow the topics because people have pointed out, you know, it makes sense to follow it, and we can agree, right? It's in the chat. Okay, can you send me a little DM? Biscuit? Or respond to my DM? Send me a little DM. I put server on West Coast. So we looked at the ping across North America, and you will not notice any difference in the ping normalization wherever you live in North America, even if it's West Coast or East Coast. We've done some tests. It is far, you know, under the ping normalization rate, as long as you don't have obviously specific, you know, problems with connections or anything like that, or wireless getting packet loss or whatever. You know, our game is not the same as Counter-Strike when you want to be there around 10, 20, 30 FPS. It's not at all the same kind of network protocol, you know, when it comes to playing Mortal Online. So it's when you're way above a certain range, above the ping normalization, where you will be the, you know, feel the, you know, parry, delay, hit, reading, animation, when that slowly start become a latency issue. So if he's here, can he send me a message, because I'm missing him and I don't see a DM from him, and I sent him a DM. So roll again, he said. Ah, okay, sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, sure, we can roll again if that's true. Did he say that? I'm not sure yet. Okay, I see now. Won't let you respond, eh? That's strange. Just roll again. Okay, that's nice of you, I guess. But yeah, I see you won 2 years ago, so you already hit the jackpot once. All right, I can do a quick roll again. You don't have to re-sign up. You're already in the lists. So I will roll it instantly. Only if you haven't signed up, you can sign up. But if you already have, you don't have to do it again. All right, I'll roll it instantly. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Congratulations, Steve the Ninja, eh? Steve the Ninja. Let's see, we have a winner. Good name, Steve the Ninja. Let's see. Steve the Ninja, hello. Are you here? Rig day. Let's see if a ninja responds. Hi there, ninja. All right, we have a winner. Steve the Ninja. Here are your Steam key. Congratulations. Are you Mortal 1 veteran or Mortal 2 veteran or a little newbie? Always curious. A little newbie. Been playing Mortal 2 for a little over a year now. All right, all right. So you're getting in it. You're getting into it. All right, let's head over to our final topic then, and see if we can cover some Q&A. We just shut that one off. All right. So, Sarka, what do you think, guys? Are we excited for Sarka North America? If people are correct, we expect an influx of North American players that were a lot on the West Coast that struggled a bit with latency to our European server. Do you want to see the little teaser again? If a lot of people you missed it, I don't know if people are joining late. If we should run it one more time, or are we good? We will obviously put it on YouTube as well shortly in 4K, so you all can watch it. Sarka is gonna be quite large, similar to Murland range as we have it currently. Run it again. Shall we do it? Yeah, it's not that long. We can run it again. And all right, let's roll the little teaser. Boom.
Listen well, traveler, and it might just save your life. Across the inner sea, over Tecton's fault, far from your paradise of Merland, waits a vast dry ocean of breathing dunes and hidden wealth. It is no wonder the great Suna rises from the west, as Kefir hauls her over the burning sands of Sarduka. Learning to survive here will require all your wit, skill, and courage. The deserts may appear empty, but life here always finds a way. Beth Jeddah, the heart and jewel of the Sardukan Empire and seat of Laba Madar, who has ruled her people for hundreds of years, if you believe the tales. Sarduka holds many secrets, traveler, some of which were not meant to be uncovered. The Yarasi, Wardaki dancers, great worms, the blinding light of Kamin Mara. Seek, and you will find, even if it means your life. Now, get off my ship.
All right, that was the teaser for Sarka indeed. So yeah, that is from in-game obviously. And we were gonna show more over time. We don't want to reveal everything obviously in one go, right? Yes, all European player will also be able to play Sarka even though it's located in America, North America. We're looking at an optional additional character slot so you don't feel forced to delete your character. So we're looking into those options as we speak. There will still be initially start on Haven as usual, and then you will be able to go to Milan or Sarka from Haven. We don't have an exact official date, public date for Sarka release. You know, we want to have it ironed out, you know, completely. There's a lot of things, you know, everything. It's an entire continent world we're building here, right? But we will do announcement or updates frequently to show some of the stuff while we get closer to having a secure release date that we eventually going to announce when we're closer. It will not be next year. We're talking this year, obviously, so I can say that for sure. You're closer than that. So yeah, obviously one big discussion we had both internally and in the community. We've been following that, and we've gone on and off over the years when it comes to the subscription model, how that is difficult for a lot of players out there, the new generation that are used to free-to-play models that are, you know, not ruining the gaming industry, but completely changing it, right? So obviously, like we said, we always try to adapt and see what makes sense for our type of game. Obviously, we never want to be a pay to win, right? You can never buy weapons and power to make your character stronger. It will never be that type of game, right? And many of you probably knows our personal opinion when it comes to most content and assets should be obtainable in the game, and it will be equal for everyone, and the players decide who to trade it, who to pass that on to, and so on. But obviously, if the majority of audience want to see a change in that system, obviously it's something we need to look at. We mentioned earlier that it makes sense to, look at first having free-to-play on Haven. It's an isolated area. We have a good control over that, right? And that requires some updates and rework on Haven to make sure people can enjoy that, coming into the game. There's always room for improvement to get players into the game. And then, of course, if they like what they see, they can commit to the full world. But we're also looking at, obviously, different options there. We've seen multiple companies going from subscription models to a specific free-to-play, or trying to find what works with their game, and becoming way more successful that way. And I know we have heard you guys do this or that, and it will help us a lot. We have done a lot of research over all those areas, and our heart is always to try to protect Moat Online, its core vision and rules as much as possible. But we have to look at what could work. So that's obviously something that we are looking at the same time as we're building Saudica, because those will be big steps, right? Marketing a game requires hell of a lot of resources, and if no one knows about the game, then people will not buy it, right? Steam will only get us so far, and then obviously resources to market the game in a correct way, can get us further. Having proper influencers, streamers, people that knows what Mortal Line is also helps a lot when it comes to making awareness of this type of game. But we all know also and understand that obviously having a free to play Haven, or starting from that, will give the opportunity to give thousands of players the ability to try the game without actually hesitating or trying game, because that jump is not as harsh. When I see it's subscription, well, many don't read it's a subscription model and say it's they lied. Now they made it into a subscription model. You see that on Steam review is quite odd, because that notes have always been there. It's supposed to be a subscription model game, right? But obviously if you don't read that and think it's just pay to play it, and then when you require subscription, you may quit the game or get frustrated if you thought it wasn't. So obviously we know that there's a lot of people that wanna or can give the game a chance if they can try it for free as well. But obviously we always need to maintain the costs, right? Running the servers and the development team is not free. It's our livelihood, right? So we need to make sure that it works. But I just want to mention it's obviously a big important thing that everyone have been discussing on and off over the years, and we're also analyzing and trying to see what could make sense to help building a population and get that hurdle out of the way to get people enjoying the game fully, but also find a way to pay for the game. Nude patch, eh? I'm not sure if a nude patch will make a huge difference when it comes to paying the subs. But yeah, obviously everyone will have different opinions, right? But the industry is making free-to-play as a standard in most MMOs, which will obviously force a specific change on actual game design as well. So yeah, obviously we need new players, and to attract new players, we need to find ways to attract them, and of course we need the correct type of content. A lot of Americans said that, I will only join when you have a North American server, because I want to be competitive on the same terms with a reasonable latency ping. Obviously, releasing Saudica on North America will offer that. North America is a huge portion of the player, obviously. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can tap out to more players over there as well. Obviously, they can also jump over to Milan and compare the latency, see how it affects them. Obviously, there will be a difference from West Coast, East Coast when joining Milan and vice versa. We don't have an exact date on when Haven free-to-play is going to happen, but we have internal dates, right? So if everything goes as planned, we have a few patches in the coming months, and then of course we have a huge patch, the expansion of Sardica, and then we also have the free-to-play work on that schedule. So it is in the coming months this year. We are refrained from saying dates too early on now when there's still things to iron out. But as we go, we will do updates, and when we feel secure that this is a date we can stick with, and that's when we're gonna announce that. Let's see if we can catch some questions here. I'm a little slow here today. A lot of MO1 consider Sardica a mount-only continent. Do you guys intend on keeping this or making Sardica play similar to Milan? So, again, we were somewhat restricted in what we could do in Unreal Engine 3. You know, that's a hell of an old engine today. And we tried to squeeze in a lot of land space in Sardica at some sacrifice with detailed biomes. Obviously, if it's only open sand, then yes, it will be obviously very powerful to have a mount that handle that heat very effectively, right? But obviously we are not you know, as hindered by that this time around. So Sardica will have a lot of biome variation similar to Milan, so there will be open vast desert for sure, but that's not the main area you're forced to play in. There will be multiple areas and biomes with a lot of vegetation, mountains, rocks and props that will allow you to fight on foot as well. But obviously, if you're traveling specific routes over huge deserts, you know, there will be some strength with the mount. But that's quite similar on Milan as well, right? There are some open areas that obviously a mount will be effective. I'm not saying Sardica is going to be end of 2026. I'm just saying that we don't want to publish the date right now, because again, we know how people get disappointed if you need to move it 1 month in any direction. Obviously earlier wouldn't be a bad thing, but you know, but no, we are not talking that far away, you know, but like I said, we're gonna update you as we go. Wipe it, start fresh. That's what's gonna happen on Sardica. I mentioned that earlier, that's one of the big thing, right? So anyone can start on Sardica on day 1, but you will be on a new character. You can't travel from Milan to Sardica initially. The bridge will be closed for X amount of months. We don't have the exact time for that yet. You know, we have to get feedback on that, but it will be, you know, quite a while before the bridge will be open. Red worms. Lisan al-Gaib. We had some worms in the first game, dead ones that showed some ancient ones, but you will see, obviously, what we'll have here. We're trying to refresh some of the lore that wasn't fully correct. We had to sacrifice a few things the first time around, so we tried to readdress those. For instance, the gammas you saw in the teaser, those are more lore accurate to how the gammas should look like compared to the first game. Those are some effective heat mounts on Sardica, obviously. So yeah, obviously we have different new balance on the gamuts as well compared to Moto 1. Yeah, so along with the new continents, we go to more extreme temperatures and such. So that's where the temperature is gonna play a more impact. Saraka obviously will have some of the hottest biomes in Nave, which means there will be a penalty in certain ways, which means you have to adapt your gear to handle that heat, including your mounts. So that means there's not just going to be one gear and mount to rule them all. You may have to adapt depending on where you want to play and be effective at. Saraka would be quite similar to Milan in size. So obviously if you don't want to create a new character to participate in the fresh start of Saraka, you can just wait for the bridge to open up and then travel from Milan with whatever you want with your characters over to Saraka. So obviously you're not forced to play on Saraka on release, right? It's an option you will have. But it seems like a lot of people are quite excited about the soft wipe or whatever we call it when starting fresh on Saraka before they merge. And you know, it usually just takes a few months before high active players have reached, you know, high tier of materials and stuff, exploring quite a lot, which means that will lower the gap between Milan and Saraka quite fast. But it is quite interesting. I find it quite interesting as well to have Saraka, you know, starting on its own because the bridge is cut off for a while. It's a pretty interesting concept. Boats will not be along with that initially. That's a huge system. So obviously having a lot of new land to explore with new dungeons, new mobs and creatures and lands to build on, and with, you know, new marketing push, influencers push, streamer push, and hopefully new North American players that want to play when they have a, you know, better terms with latency if you're West Coast. We plan and hope that obviously population will go up a lot, which means we will need plenty of space. I don't know if you remember some of those stress tests we did on Milan with a few thousand players online. It was, you even went to the jungle and you got lost and you run into freaking human players in the jungle. You know, very quickly there are a range where it feels very heavy populated, right? Then of course there's the opposite. If people are not roaming as much, then obviously the world is going to feel more empty when it comes to players. But, you know, we hope and plan that obviously we're going to push more players along with all those steps we can make, which means it could be crowded, especially initially. And if we go free-to-play models, obviously that can be extremely crowded. We have seen that in past games. We have seen that in Mortal 1. It's difficult to handle that pressure, right? So yeah. Of course, we can have other locations in the world for other continents, depending on population demand and interest. I can understand that, you know, it may feel frustrating that you can't jump over with your Milan character that is old and, you know, fully built and ready to get instant action on Saraka. You know, you have to wait a little bit to be able to do that. But I think you can also see, you know, what's, you know, quite interesting by having Saraka isolated for a little bit while, and it's a fresh race for everyone, because that's been a big thing for a lot of players. Obviously not for everyone. Some people may not care about that kind of race, and you can take your time and move over whenever the bridge is built. Yeah, you know, We invested quite a lot in that system to build a bridge. It was quite an achievement, but people teamed up and built it overnight, and then bam, never used again. We even added support to be able to siege and destroy the bridge, spend time on that, and it was never sieged and destroyed. So we may as well just, you know, have it constructed by the Emperor, and you can just all move over, because obviously we want to spend our coding time and content time where it makes sense for the players most, right? Korea Chinese server will be huge, big demand for games like this. So we have talked to Tencent and some companies over there that says they are hungry for hardcore MMOs, you know, which obviously made me interested in seeing what type of hardcore MMOs are we talking about. You know, what types of hardcore MMO do they have over there? But there's a whole type of journey when it comes to running and hosting a MMO server over there, with a lot of different rules and procedures. But obviously that door is open, so but it's just that we can only do so much, right, with the time we have, and we have to do, you know, things in different steps. So if we put it West Coast, we're tapping into Asia and Australia latency a little bit better. If you obviously put it East Coast, it's gonna be, you know, optimal for some European countries and East Coast, North America, kind of like how Milan is today. The difference isn't that huge if it's located on Europe or East Coast when it comes to those areas between. I was quite surprised of the latency difference from East Coast to West Coast to Milan continent. You can rest assured, if you are an American player, it won't matter if it's West, Central or East Coast for you. Your ping normalization will put it to the same level to the rest. It's when you go above the 150 something, I don't know exact numbers, but when you start to notice a few different things, when you have Paris and so on, the higher you go there, you get a more delay. So obviously it's the surrounding areas. If we can tap into a little bit more Australian and some Asian areas, then, you know, we can open up to more players to enjoy the game. Like I said, all North American players will have optimal ping latency for our type of game when it's located Central, West or East. It's just the surrounding regions that gets more affected. All right, let me catch up a little bit. Notorious Dig, where are you located? Yeah, if you're under 150 latency, you're good, and it will be under 150 cross American to our server most likely, if obviously depending on if your internet is reliable and or not packet loss, you know, wireless. I'm not sure rename character is a good thing, because, you know, identity and reputation should be a thing in Mortal Land, right? And if you can hide and change that reputation on the fly, you know, then we lose that kind of thing. People should consider that if I act like an ass and people won't support me or trade with me or even kill me, maybe they act nicer, right? But if they can hide behind that, then, you know. Yeah, so there's been a few months of silence. We are aware we've been working hard on specific areas and focusing hard on that. We want to make sure that when we do a stream, it feels interesting and, you know, exciting for everyone to jump in a moment. And I don't want to, you know, run them for too long either. The plan is to run them quite tight, around 2 hours, and try to follow the topic. But yes, with this stream, we also plan to do a little bit more regular, frequent updates on the different topics, and possible streams, close to every patch we are planning to do as well. But yeah, as we speak, we are doing tests when it comes to latency effects from Milan to Sarka and the different locations. But like I said, we are currently looking at West Coast America, and also doing tests from Australia and other nearby regions from West Coast. Devil's Reflex, I mean, you can still do that, right? But if you want your old character that is high-end, then obviously you have to wait a little bit. Or you can enjoy a fresh run over at Sarka. That's why we're looking at a possible third character option. We're trying to look into how that could be done. So you don't have to obviously delete one of those old. There could be specific things that are noticeable in 60 to 120, but if we have a system that waits and doesn't allow for a specific action to be synchronized after or before 150 ms, then you can't notice the difference. You're fooling yourself if you think that is the case. If the server sends you this is the action queue on 150 ms, if you have 10, 40 or 150, that's not a difference. It still happens there, right? So that's the baseline of the ping normalization. And as soon as you start to go above that, that's when you see more delay. A lot of people think that it's 1,000 times difference on the ping and European player and East Coast players. So it's gonna be interesting as well when you see that, well, it's maybe not that huge of a difference when you get to play on the North American server. Again, it's easy to compare it with Counter-Strike games types of network latency, which it is nothing like. You're Swedish, yeah. So we will have a little bit less worse ping, obviously, if it's West Coast compared to East Coast. We have a pretty decent ping to East Coast. West Coast will be... what did you say you get? 180. So that's slightly above the ping normalization. Name doesn't change the player's voice or attitude. True, but if people take notes and you're building history around names, which should happen in Mortal Online, both reputation, community, and in the books eventually, when you can write books again or stories with AI, NPCs, and so on, then if those names changes, it will mean nothing, right? You will be known for Temujin or Vicnus, Those names will be remembered and written in books, for good or bad. But if you can just wipe them, then yeah, it removes a little bit of that, right? With Sarka, we plan to add profession types, task types. Obviously, also we have a few things planned there, but again, depending on how everything goes, there's so many things with Sarka. I can't mention all the new stuff at this point. It may be that they arrive with Sarka or a patch later after, because we don't want to, have too much that could be risky. and we want isolated tests and make sure we can move forward in an effective way. But we have a few things obviously that we want to add as well around or with Sarka. To mention some of those are assassination and thievery, those kind of skills, professions. Like I said, I can't say exactly when those are tied to a patch or expansion. Don't be devastated. Your old character can be used on Saruk as well. I mean, obviously, if it's just 10 people that want the bridge to be down, which I highly doubt initially, because it's pretty cool and interesting, and it seems like a lot of people want Sarika to be a fresh start, that type of soft option. But obviously, if we're completely wrong and everyone tells us, no, we want the bridge open on day one, you know, we will look into that. Feel free to, you know, make your voice heard, and we will take a look. Yeah, just looking at the chat here, everyone is yelling fresh start is the best with option of a character slot. And obviously that's what we've been hearing for over the years. We will never wipe the in-game entirely because it won't make a, you know, difference other than we will lose a lot of old players that obviously don't want to play the game to get wiped. That would be horrible. There will always be those that find that exciting, but it's not that type of game that we have season wipes or anything like that, obviously. The only thing that could work and fit and, you know, can be interesting is Sarka not having the bridge connection. Then it makes sense, right? How do you travel from Milan to Sarka if the bridge is not built? Yeah, Haven characters will be able to move to Sarka on launch. So if he's there now and you start playing when Sarka is live, you will be able to continue that journey and pick Sarka. So we are looking into what the hell we need to do when it comes to house slots. Obviously, we can understand that some people want to build on Saruk as well. We need to carefully look into that, you know, houses and decorations spreading throughout the world and occupy data obviously comes with, you know, a lot of important things that we need to consider in a proper way. So we are looking into that. Yeah, we can't wipe the game. You know, we have a lot of players that are supporting us, paying the monthly sub, playing on and off, that may not have as much time as everyone else. And if we go out and wipe them, they're gonna quit the game and we're gonna lose customers, money, and yeah, have a more empty game. So that's why we think that Sarka is it's a good in-between, right? It makes sense in a way. If the bridge is not built, you will start fresh there, exactly like it was a wipe. And then slowly merge when the gap isn't as extreme. We could probably do a in-game vote, absolutely, to get more numbers from the current active players. Remove Haven. Make it cost gold for a second house slot or real money even to buy another house slot. So there's obviously a lot of question marks, right? We need to go through that one for sure. At the same time as we are solving the character slot option. Yeah, Bikner, I don't know if you were here when I discussed the next patch, but that is addressing a little bit of that gap that you're mentioning about, you know, like trinkets and such. So we will do the recap as usual on the stream, so I don't have to repeat myself too much for everyone in here during the scheduled time, and then, you know, so that is somewhat covered. Maybe don't change anything with houses. If people want to build there, let them get rid of mill and houses. You know, obviously we're considering all those thoughts, but we also, again, want to make it as enjoyable as possible for everyone. But it kind of needs to make sense in a few different ways, both performance-wise, database-wise, you know, clients, just having a lot of spread out stuff in the world does come at a cost for your client as well, obviously, right? To load the data, render everything. So yeah, we need to carefully evaluate those specifics. Please answer more spicy questions. Which spicy question are we talking about here? We don't want you to feel forced to delete one character to jump on Saruka. No. So that is one of the things we're working on, right? Yes, heat will have an effect. There will be extreme heat on Saruka that you know, forces you to take a look on your gear and mounts to have them optimally effective, or you can ignore it and be you know, punished by the heat. Great to see you, Henrik. Thank you very much for giving us some stuff to look forward to. Hope you're well. Thank you very much, Dumpling. I'm happy that it seems like a lot of you guys are excited for Saruka. And it's going to be interesting with the North American concept we've been talking of over the years. It's going to be interesting to, you know, have those. It's going to be interesting to have duels on Milan, and then we jump over to North America and see how that may impact the NA European players. Should be interesting. There should be a spectrum where there are some difference, maybe. Are you tired? I'm a little tired. I slept a little bit bad this night for some reason. I woke up a little bit too early as well and couldn't get back to sleep. I try not to look too tired. I was quite excited actually to do this today's stream, just to get back to you guys. You know, it was quite a while ago we streamed, and to hear your reaction on the little teaser that we put together that I thought was really cool. Showing some impressive landscape. It looks so beautiful. We learned so much obviously over the years, since the early Unreal Engine 5 and Milan, to how to build a optimized, beautiful looking world. And Saruka is just pushing those boundaries. You know, it looks really awesome. And we showed some of those different biomes. So obviously in Saruka 1 it was a little bit more blend, like one beautiful big desert all over the place. Now you're gonna see many different biomes with their own themes, and yeah, you know, different types of how you are effective in those biomes. Yeah, we will probably make some more updates in the questionnaire, in-game votes, more frequent to see, you know, try to gather some inputs wherever it makes sense. We are looking at the third character slot, yes. Again, yeah, you know, some may be concerned that that means you're more self-supplying. And that's something that we always, talked about, that we don't want you to be fully self-supplied. We want you to engage in trades and so on. Some people are not interested in crafting and they just rely on trading, or have friends that does it. Or you are one of those more hardcore player that, I do everything on my own and put it together myself. Some of them do it either way by getting multiple accounts, or a little bit easier if you can get another character, obviously. So we're obviously trying to consider all those things. At the same time, we want to expand the world greatly, not only with more lands and another character slot, but it also then makes sense to actually try to push some of the professions, crafting, new skills, that obviously will put more demand on. We need more players picking different professions again, right? So that's one way of balancing that and considering it. Stop talking about Sarika. Well, we got a lot of questions with Sarika because a lot of people have been waiting on that for quite a while. But obviously, I will answer any question here that I can. New weapons and bows on Sarika. There will be new weapons and gear, armors, clothing on Sarika, yes. No news on breeding at this point. Make sure you don't accidentally link Sarika with Manuli Boko. That is a good one. That is a good one. You should be able to transfer a naked character instead of a new character slots. We will see. Like I said, we are not 100% set in stone exactly when it comes to the rules about housing and that possible character slots. We just want people to be able to enjoy the game as much as possible without feeling, damn, what the hell do I do now? We don't have an official roadmap yet. We will see when it could make sense to update that. Like I said, we're doing multiple steps here, working on specific patches at the same time as we have another branch with, finalizing Sarika, all that work. And we have internal dates, right? So we have our internal roadmap, but the official one, is a little bit shaky depending on dates and so on. But we will see as we progress the coming weeks how we could, put some stuff on the roadmap to show, here are the baseline that we're looking at currently. All right, let me jump down a little bit again. Sorry, I'm slow. I'm quite behind. Holy cow, I missed everything. Okay, now I'm up to date. Let's see if we can grab something here. Can we see the teaser again? We're gonna put it on YouTube in 4K so everyone can watch it there. We're gonna link it in everywhere. I'm gonna see if we can put it already now or if it's already there. Reclaw, see you later. Can speak a little bit about the assassination season mentioned. It's going to be bounty hunting season murders. So yeah, we're probably going to have a little stream surrounding that when it's time to release that, because yeah, it's not in the current patches. But just very short, there will be new skills professions for thievery and assassination where you can learn to do traps. You'll be able to get obviously targets to do assassination with. There will be poisoning skills, finally, some potion alchemy, and there will be a task involved that you can work for them. So you can, a little bit like Assassin's Creed, if you imagine you have a job to, kill a person or something like that in cities or outside of cities, and those specific NPCs can interact with you in a specific ways, and obviously your job is to either kill them or do something else. And then of course thievery, you're a little bit more aware of or familiar with when it comes to Modern 1, with a huge difference when it comes to, we want to add more content on the non-PvP area, so you can actually play around as a thief and try to make a living, and do more things than just stand in a bank naked and try to steal some gems from players. there'll be more consequences and balance tied to that as well, where you need gear, so you don't just sit there and risk nothing if you get guard back. So obviously there's a big important balance when it comes to thievery. So that's just in short, you know, what we're planning for those professions. But like I said, we're gonna cover those more in detail when we are closer to have that refined and actually a date for them when they may go into the game. And yeah, obviously there's an interesting conflict between famous assassinations and assassins and bounty hunters, right? They may be taking up deeds on, you know, to hit vice versa, right? So that's an interesting concept that maybe we want to hook up there as well, that makes some sense. One is the good guy, one may be the bad one. Griefing is so back. How is it? We're doing anti-griefing in this next patch. And like I mentioned, if you're referring to thievery, then you will be a little bit disappointed, because like I said, it won't be the same way as it was in Modern 1, because yeah, it was a little bit without proper consequences. You just stood there naked and stole something and then died and repeat. We are obviously changing that part. So I did mention a bit the main areas, what's coming in the next patch. Again, I try not to repeat myself too much, so there will be a recap of this stream. If you missed it or in late, you'll be able to watch that recap, you know, I think tomorrow. I also think actually Wolfshite, if you're in here, he usually also do an awesome job in doing a recap, so maybe he will also make one if you know, so keep an eye out. Yeah, obviously we've been a little bit silent for the past months, working on a lot of different things, and I have also not been streaming a lot, so obviously people thinking that we are, you know, getting tired or abandoning ship or anything, and we have a, you know, downwards trend in different time periods. You know, people are trying new games or just tired of old content, want new updates and so on. Obviously it's important that we try to do regular updates to inform everyone that obviously we are still here working very hard to deliver an awesome sandbox game. And obviously with these huge expansions that we are planning to deploy this year, it's important that we coordinate them with proper marketing and you know, pulling all those connections we have when it comes to influencers, streamers, websites, Steam as well, to try to make awareness that, you know, we are expanding the game greatly, improving the game greatly. If you tried once a long time ago, you know, feel free to come back and try the game out. And for new players, you know, we have Saruka, that may be interesting. It's a fresh start for everyone. If you are on a competitive level and refuse to join a MMO late age, which obviously is never really a problem in Modern Line, because it will keep on expanding and having more new items and lands to explore. But you know, everyone have their own differences. So yeah, obviously having down spirals or negative numbers in pairs is expected. The plan is obviously just to break that heavily as well with our huge updates this year, and push that as much as we can with different marketing events to try to get a lot of action in the game. And like we said, we are looking at how can we approach a proper free-to-play start for Modern Line to get even more players to actually, you know, give the game a chance. We've seen a lot of game players coming into the game and saying, you know, I never heard about this game, or I was hesitate, but I really love it because it's unique and fresh compared to most other MMOs. And it was long shot that they actually took the leap. And you know, the uphill battle can be quite harsh as well to actually get into the game and enjoy it, especially if you start alone. But as many of you know, if they join a guild and use the communications, usually they become a player in the game in a much higher rate. So we're gonna try to promote all of that, obviously, along with our big updates to make, you know, effective of that. Dresel Ardent, very generous of you with gifts. Okay, I'm gonna jump down a little bit more again. The map is great as is. Please don't change it. The map? Which map do you mean? Obviously, we need to consider reputation, how that will adapt with thievery. Like I said, in Moto 1 it was a little bit horrible. You didn't stand a chance. You were in a tin room bank and bam, you heard guys whacking thieves left and right, and they risked nothing, right? They were naked thieves to a degree when that could get out of control. So obviously we want to make sure that a thief that steals something from someone in a mid-bank in like a capital city like Tinram will do so only if he's really prepared to take the risk and costs, right? And obviously reputation needs to work along with that to be balanced. And we want to promote that you can do theft outside of the cities or not in the high guard areas. And of course, it will work also on NPCs and mobs and AI this time around, not only on players. So there'll be more utility professions to profit and earn and progress with PvE part as well, not only between players. And also hopefully more enjoyable because you can be more rely on doing thievery activities that are not just always against a player. We need a chickaboom, eh? Wo mang wang. Momo wang. Chickaboom. Yeah, we're gonna get those chickabooms again soon. Let's see. Do we have any interesting questions here that we should cover? We don't plan to expand action profession points as you can spend, you know, especially if we're looking at a third character. But what we are looking to expand is more skills and professions to choose from, so you can do more different things in the world and trade more different things with the players in the world. Thank you for noticing my question. Please make the thievery cost be gold. Like, to steal you need to buy like 50. So that's kind of a little bit our concept, right? To steal something you need gear, right? And that gear have a value. And depending on how effective that is, it may cost more. So, you know, there will be a cost investment. You can't just stand naked. And also, it does make sense for thieves to stand naked and steal something, because where do you hide the goods, right? So, yeah, that would play an impact for sure, what kind of gear you are prepared as when you try to do a theft. We do want full nudity back. We know there's quite a few of you that want that back. The only problem is the world. The world is in pain. You know, there's several takes on nudity. It's perfectly fine to crack heads open with an axe and the blood gets flying, but the nudity is very severe. Yeah, again, we have a few companies involved to have the game running, published, that have some problems there, but there are, you know, ways to work on that. There's a few games that you probably know of that have nudity and are, you know, working on Steam and different payment platforms without problems, but that procedure is a little bit problematic, and those are some big companies that have gone through that to make it happen. So it's not as easy for us, unfortunately. maybe there will be ways for people to personally change a setting on their own, you know, client risk to get nudity back, and we're not, you know, fully supporting nudity, but there may be options for you to toggle it on your own private ways. That may be one way to look at without us fully enabling it, you know. So a little bit sad for you know, because it's silly, it shouldn't be a problem, right? But it is a little bit struggle. Because obviously we sculpted beautiful characters in our game, and sad that we can't fully use it. But yeah, not everyone cares, right? And some people think it's even annoying to look at. Free weekend on Steam when? So obviously, like I said before, we're gonna look at all the different marketing opportunities we can do with big patches and expansions, and obviously the Saruka expansion in North America. We will push everything we can, obviously, to make awareness and get people back and new people in. More system to gain reputation. I mean, that's something we slowly progress in as well when it comes to adding new tasks and things in the world that you can do to gain reputation in different ways. Like I mentioned, we plan to get some of those new ones in around Saruka. I'm not sure if it's in the Saruka patch or in some of the patch after, but it's something we are planning on as well. Poisoning on weapons, appliances and potions, alchemy is planned along with assassin profession. Thievery, assassin profession. It's like one family but divided into kind of with some interesting skills and professions types. Will it be better map and map controls like ability to set waypoints, being able to see where are registering points of interest, etc. You know, there's always been two struggles there, right, in the world. We saw one big YouTuber that made a early preview on Model Line and said, wow, no one is talking about this game, but there's some cool stuff in this game. And one of them, for instance, he said was, you can actually get lost in Model Line. You can go down in jungle, you can, you know, literally get lost, because the map won't show you where you are. And some other games have done similar, but they're not as heavy in the MMO genre. They're more like shooter actions and such. But at the same time, obviously, we see more casual players, new players, obviously benefiting from being able to navigate by seeing where they are on the map will help them greatly. But the question is, you know, are we slowly moving towards a point where no one really cares about the getting lost aspect anymore? Is the majority just want to, you know, be more effectively, you know, moving around in the world, and new players are used to that because all the games are doing it like that? So it's a tough one, right? Because we come from the hardcore route with passion with these types of games, and obviously moving some of those rules are a little bit rough in the heart. But I'm like I said, if I'm a dying breed, you know, we're getting old here and no one else wants that, then, you know, we obviously need to take a look on what kind of impact that may have for a game. I mean, just asking you guys, would you? I mean, I can even do a little poll. I mean, those are something we can poll in game, right? But there's several things like that, right? A little poll, you know, a little poll for the fun of it. Getting lost is great. Old school age players are dying breed, been that way for years. Yeah, I mean, I come from Ultima Line, 96 1996 the beta age, and then the release for 10 years. It was a rough game, you know. Well, one hell of a game it was. And then when I started to play all these modern games, I thought, what the hell? Can't I just be able to use my brain, for God love? But I noticed that the industry killed it for everyone, so they just, you know, got adapted and said, we have to do it like this or we can't play the game. I have some hope that we can get Mortal Line on a good state with still, you know, being a proper sandbox, hardcore, you know, with a lot of juice and sand and tools to be enjoyable by a lot of different types of players. We will see. We don't plan to get rid of compatibilities. We plan on refining it and, you know, make sure it's properly balanced. There's a few things still we want to balance and tweak animations to make it as good as possible. And then maybe over time, expand on it. I mean, it was the most voted content ever in our polls. So obviously we had to deliver that. And if it comes down to balance, then obviously we are willing to do the work there for sure. But removing it doesn't make sense, and you know, also doing a pulse and questionnaire on what people think about it, it was overwhelmingly positive. And new players especially also enjoy that. Is there something more to my left-right swings? They don't really fully understand how difficult it is, you know, initially. Obviously, when they're trying to fight their mobs at first and they get handle hits and they don't have full force charging the weapon, they notice that, okay, there's a bit more to it than that. But after that, they think, well, that's too basic. Is there no more fun thing to do? And many of you vets ask for, we want things to be able to break the meta, do options and tactics. And that's what the combat system offers. So obviously, looking at the major feedback and general consensus of it, it adds. Yes, staff magic is one of the planned school eventually, but we don't have a date for that yet. Notorious Dig, we are looking, I mentioned that a little bit early in the stream, so you can probably watch the recap, but we are looking and evaluating different types of free-to-play, Haven, all those options that may fit Mortal Online as good as possible, to also remove some of those bombs for a lot of players that are hesitate, that never give Mortal a chance, just to help with population. So yes, we are absolutely analyzing a lot of different options there. We don't plan to have a new playable race along with Sarika Desert or the continent, but there are possibilities to expand some playable content in the future, but I don't know when that's gonna be at this point. Obviously you have the Sarika Clade, right? But not the new one at this time. Graveyards have Lictor's guards next patch. New players get griefed out of the game. I'm not sure about that. Obviously, we always try to minimize griefing and punish people that play like that, or you know, consequences at least, and give options for players to get into the game and get around in the game. So we've done a few anti-griefing mechanics in this next patch that I mentioned, but you can catch them in the recap of the stream as well. But I'm sure there could be more areas. Yes, we eventually plan to add a profession, bard style, barbing, tattoo artist, to allow you to change your hairstyle, your tattoos and such, But we want it to be a profession, right? So you can actually learn these different styles and discover new ones. So it's up to the players. If you want to look unique, have a unique hairstyle, yeah, first have to find that unique recipe, and that player need to decide to offer that to you or sell his services, right? So that's an interesting concept that we want to add, instead of just giving you all the options in the character creation and then you set on that, right? We already have one more variation on everything, one or two, but we were actually saving those for that profession. So the question is only, you know, do we want to add those options along with Saruka, or do we want to wait and keep them for the profession? That's one of the questions, right? Yeah. Will there be dungeons in Saruka? There will be dungeons, absolutely. We are working on the AI NPC updates. I'm working with quite a few of those things personally. We don't have the exact date for that yet. It depends on where we want to put the bar as well, what kind of gameplay around it. But we have some interesting things that I think will be quite cool, along with some of the professions as well. So the question is only when that fits in our patches. $35 a month, a Tom Bomb. Are you paying for multiple accounts with that, or what do you mean with £35? Or are you a new player, including the box price, or what? We'll most likely not have a dungeon on Milan before Saruka, no, because obviously we'll do a lot of hard work over on Saruka. That we include cities, dungeons, new creatures, flora, fauna, fish types, seed types, everything, right? So that requires a lot of artwork. Yes, we will advertise Saruka, obviously, you know, quite hard, in doing Steam rounds as well. Please consider more races once Saruka is launched. I mean, it's obviously always cool to play more races, but we have written some of those things in our old design documents, but you know, we put them way far in the future because there's so much more we want to add in the game world before maybe that may become a thing. It's always hard to know, you know, what does a lot of players want in the game. What do we pick? That's why we also try to do some polls, votings to see, you know, here's a lot of different topics. What are you interested in? And those that got most voted that people wanted, and obviously those were the ones we tried to deliver in the game in upcoming sprints. And we have pretty much delivered like top 10 or top 15 of all of those. Some of them very successful. People had a blast. A lot of people join in. Some of them not as much. You know, a lot of variation. So, and it also depends on what type of content and what type of players. So we try to do a careful analysis of what kind of content do we need to bring both players back, and old current players happy to enjoy things, and of course new players to be excited to play the game. Oh my god, we got Gilbert Wombat with 40 month. Awesome, thank you very much. 40 month, eh? Got 2 accounts out. It's not that much money, and there are more important things for them to fix before adding more magic schools and such. Yeah, you know, we all have different opinions in here, right? Some people just want, you know, new magic schools, staff magic, some of those cool magic schools, which I agree will be really cool and give completely new gameplay. But then, of course, there will be those that don't care at all. They want ships, they want to sail the seas, they want to be pirates, they want to fight on the seas, they want to dive into, you know, find treasures, they want to fish rare deep sea SOS bottles. They want to sail to islands and discover treasures over there. So there's so many things. We have the wagon system, you know. You have the arena system where you can fight and bet. There's a lot of different areas, and that, you know, it's always a challenge. Which of these brings the most excitement and players to enjoy the game? The plan is obviously to slowly offer in all those areas. The only thing is that we have to have a proper prioritized order, because we can only do so many things over, you know, a year of development. Some of them are huge, some of them are smaller, some are just bonuses. What makes your Desert map stand out compared to the dozen of games recently released or in the past? What do you mean about standing out of the dozen games that recently released? Mortal 9 2 is already one of a kind compared to all those recently released MMOs. Am I not right? That's how I at least interpret it when I try most other new games or take a look on them. Obviously, Sarika will be very different from Milan, right? With its own heat biomes, the heat systems, the different biomes and tactics, dungeons, and its own lore, flora, fauna, craftables, creatures, tamables, everything, right? So obviously a lot more fun to explore for those that are tired of Milan, pretty much. But yeah, I would say that comparing to other games, I can't say one game that is like Mortal 9 and like Saruka, because there's so many differences, right? I don't know if you mention a game that you think is like Mortal 9 too. I can probably mention why it differs and how it differs. But that's also why we are building Mortal 9 2, you know. There's nothing like it, and we want to have a proper sandbox that everyone in the world can enjoy in different ways. The more sand and tools we add, hopefully the more different types of players we bring. Toontown Online plays exactly like Mortal 2. I have missed Toontown. What the hell is Toontown? That I have to admit, I have missed, and I didn't know there was a game exactly like Mortal 2. If you're not trolling me. Which you probably are, right? It's trolling you. Alright, we are almost hitting the 2-hour mark, and it looks like the question is slowing down on the new stuff. Yeah, I seen Darkfall. I remember when we announced Mortal 1, and they weren't too happy about Mortal Online because they saw us a direct competitor instead of, no, cool, another indie company that tries to offer something unique and different. And I would say Darkfall obviously and Mortal Online is very different in many core ways. You can enjoy both, you can hate one, and you can love the others. I wouldn't say that they are very similar. There are some similarities, right? And it's as old as Mortal 1, I believe, right? Around 17 years. And what surprised me is that they re-released that game, 5-6 times in new ownership control. And it shows that it still struggled to do that straightforward, hardcore PvP type of MMO. It's simply also why the Giants never do those type of games. It is extremely difficult to make a successful hardcore MMO sandbox PvP loot game. You know, and we learned a lot over the years, the hard way, a lot. But I believe that we can pinpoint a few very different or interesting areas that will be exciting gameplay news for many types of players, from PvP to non-PvP players. We have a few things we want to announce in the coming months that is tapping into some really cool non-direct combat content that is really cool, socializing things that I think a lot of people can enjoy. Even PvP players can have a chill moment and enjoy that type of moment. But yeah, obviously new releases of new stuff and feel some nostalgia and have fun for a moment usually works, right? But we really strongly believe and focus on trying to make this more game persistent, right? And not just do re-releases or wipes or whatever to try to do desperately increase player bases. We want to find the right way, the right path, and just commit and make, you know, hopefully let the content, you know, talk for itself over time. All right. No news about dual weapons or throwing weapons at this point, no. Thanks, Base 8 Tate. Always butcher everyone's names. Notorious Dag, is it the same features as the old Darkfall had, do you mean? I mean, there's always something good from some of the games, right? I have players playing them. Sarduki Wipe Hype. You think Alvarins are too fast, Siege? I mean, there are always a never-ending balance around all the clays as well, right? It will never be perfect, and sometime your Alvarin will shine, in some areas it will not shine. So it's very difficult to say one is way out of the league and needs a nerf or not, you know. We try to do a careful adjustment, the latest patches, to get them all interesting, viable, and somewhat balanced overall. But I guess they will never be perfect because people will never agree on what perfect balance is on those clades and skills and weapons and everything else, right? What about social mechanisms in the game using shares? Yeah, that was exactly what I was commenting on 2 minutes ago, right? That we are excited to add some content in the game world that will be enjoyable for everyone. You know, when you want to have a chill moment and do some different types of gameplay, not only combating. So we are planning to add like social hubs. You know, there will be buildings in the different cities where there are guard protection. If you want to enter those buildings, you have to leave your weapons and regents at the, you know, outside. And your reputation will matter. So you can enter some of those rooms and areas if you have a proper standing. If you're rubbish, they will say, move away, and they will spit on you. But if you want, you know, if you have the right terms to enter, you can enter these areas, and there will be different types of things, like new types of NPCs. There may be new types of tasks. There will be tables and chairs that you can sit down, obviously, and talk with the new awesome VoIP system, and you'll be able to play games, socializing games, making money or losing money, different types of social interactions, board games. And then that's something we can expand on. So there are absolutely areas in that we are planning on and designing and want to deliver. Tentaro, I didn't see your dumb comment that I responded on. Sorry. Or if I missed your good question. I try my best. I miss a lot of good questions, I'm sure. The plan is with that patch that you will be able to sit in chairs finally, yes. PvP questions. What kind of PvP questions will you know before I end? Yes, there will be new craftings along with Sarka. How many cities there are in Sarka? There are 3 main cities. One is the Bethiera, obviously the capital, right? Which is a more grand city. And there are... I need to check the map to check all the different names. There are specific pronunciations. And then there are some smaller ones. So not as many as on Mirland. What about finish existing magic schools? Obviously we want to finish those last ones and slowly expand on more magic, absolutely. But again, we try to look at what most players needs and want and they can enjoy, and how to help expand the population. You know, maybe some people come back when they see we're expanding on some of those schools, or you know, finishing some of those missing things. Sure. So we plan to revisit as soon as we can. But right now, we know that there's a huge demand on Sarika, and Sarika will also help us bring a lot of players back into the game and new players into the game. New marketing push and additional improvement to the game overall. So it's a balance, right? We have to see what makes sense first. Obviously, there are going to be some marketing along with Sarika and after. We want to make sure that everything is under control. We don't know if there's going to be an explosion of players logging in on the same time. We're going to have that kind of stress struggle, or it's going to be more, you know, over time controlled. So we just have to be prepared for some chaos at worst, right? We will announce when the next PTR is. It is getting close for our next patch and engine update that will also improve performance on the clients. There will be some environment effects on Sarika, yes, we are playing around with those now. You even saw some of the new twisters, a nice little visual effect on in the teaser. They are not obviously devastated, it's more like looks cool on the horizon and you can walk around them. But there may also be more storm types weathers, obviously with sand, that makes visibility, you know, way less obviously. Make sure you market the game in Asian countries now that they're gonna have the server in Northwest, NA West. Those Asians loves MMOs. Yeah, like I said, Tencent mentioned they're all looking for hardcore sandbox MMOs. It's hot over there. Obviously, Mortal 2 is a very much that type of game. But like I said, yeah, having a server closer to them so they have a bit better latency may help. But also really reaching out to a lot of those players in those regions kind of need some partnership over there to make it happen, I think. But obviously it doesn't hurt to get a server closer, and making some awareness maybe help. Any tips for surviving heat in Sarika? Do we bring water and salt? So it's not that extreme that whenever we move around in a hot desert, it's not that type of survival game where you need to drink water every now and then and eat or you will die. But your stats will be affected. Your stamina regen and such will be affected if you're overheated, because obviously it's, you know, that's one of the impact. So gear will adapt to that heat level. So if you're running around in steel, then obviously you may be cooked, right? And that would be horrible for your stats. But if you have proper Sarkan clothes or armor gear, lightweight stuff, then you will not be as punished. So it's interesting that some different biomes, it's not just the go-to armor set, right? You may want to refine your tactics based on where you travel in the world. And similar things with mounts. You can't just bring your go-to mount and think it will behave optimal in a heat area. For instance, you may want to look into mounts that handle heat the best. And yeah, the clades also have some natural, you know, what's called tolerance level of heat and cold. So some clades have a little bit less penalty based on the heat as well, the temperatures. All right. If you missed the trailer, it's in 4K on YouTube now, here as well. And we published it. We're gonna put it on website and Discord if someone wanna watch it or missed it. It's available. Because I'm hitting the 2-hour mark. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you guys again. It was quite a while ago last time. So yeah, it's been a blast to show you the teaser of Sarka. And as always, it's enjoyable to hang out with you guys, and you know, me trying to cover the questions you have as much as I can. If you missed it or anything, then you will watch the recap tomorrow or something like that, and you will go straight to the candy if there's something you are wondering that you may have missed. So yeah, I think this is my cue then. Let's see, should we do the usual raid, guys? Do we have anyone we want to raid here today? Let's see, who do we have online? We do have, let's do the usual quick vote, shall we? A quick one. Oops. One quick minute vote and we will do a raid. New music for Sarka. So we have a soundtrack for Sarka from Molten 1 that obviously we're gonna bring in. I don't know if you have heard that one, but that will be there as a minimum, and then we will see. All right, let's see. Who do we have? Is it Durakai or who is gonna win it? So sittable chair on Saraka. No, the sittable function will be with the social patch that I mentioned briefly, but we don't have the, again, we don't have the dates officially on these things. We will see down the road. We will update our website and a possible roadmap when you can expect those kind of things going into the game. Okay, we have Dudakai. Let's raid Dudakai, guys. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in today. It means a lot, as usual, to have your support, and we appreciate your question and support for this project. It's a never-ending journey, pretty much. All right. Recap sometime tomorrow or the next day. If you missed this, we have the little Sarka teaser published now. Let's raid Durakai then. Thank you very much for the donations, subscriptions, and gifts as well. Holy shit, I always remember. I forget how to do this, but I think I'm doing it correctly. Alright guys, thank you very much. Let's do the raid, and I will see you next time. Thank you, and have a good night. Let's see if we can do the raid. Alright. Good night and bye bye.